After throwing the world into very possibly a global recession, Trump sent his surrogates out with a not so reassuring message. Trust him, he knows what he's doing. Now, for anyone who heard the rambling, delusional announcement that Trump delivered from the Rose Garden announcing his Liberation Day, you got the sinking feeling that no one with a middle school command of math or passing familiarity with the history of tariffs bothered to tell the emperor that he had no clothes. But beyond the stunning ineptness, what this fiasco has proven is that Trump has truly surrounded himself with a collection of spineless incompetence. Now, we all know that Trump isn't exactly known for doing his homework, infamous for never bothering to even read his daily briefings or needing colorful charts to command his attention. If there was ever a president who needed a cabinet and advisors who were experienced and informed, it would be this guy. Let me give you just a snapshot of what counts as a typical Friday in Trump world. As the markets were cratering, our concerned president, who earlier that morning told his constituents that all was going according to plan, he wasn't in the Capitol, though, huddling with his economic team or on the Hill conferring with lawmakers or meeting with freaked out global leaders or maybe just reassuring the financial community or, God forbid, the American people that there was a method to the madness. No, he kicked his weekend off early and he was hanging out at his Florida golf course, taking in a tournament with his Saudi buddies. But rest easy, fellow citizens. His brain trust was holding down the fort. In the same news cycle that we learned that RFK tried to have his staff make up fake data to support his anti-vax crusade as measles cases explode in Texas, we also heard this from the guy with brain worms.
There were a number of instances where studies that should not have been cut were cut, and we've reinstated them. Personnel that should not have been cut were cut, we're reinstating them.
It turns out that 20% of the 10,000 workers fired from HHS are in fact really important even by DOJ's standards, and he'd like them to come back to the office if they wouldn't mind. Among the folks asked to come back were the entire team responsible to deal with our water safety, including preventing and dealing with lead poisoning. They also realized post-fact that a lot of critical staff at the FDA are actually really important to our health and safety. Thank you, Elon Musk. But RFK seems like Mensa compared to our next exhibit, Laura Loomer. After the stunning incompetence from Pete Hegseth and Trump's national security team with Signalgate, you wouldn't think it would get much worse. You would be wrong. Miss Loomer, who is a proud white nationalist and a conspiracist who claims, among other things, that 9/11 was an inside job and has said too many racist things to count, she was somehow granted access to the Oval Office, where she persuaded the president to fire generals, including a 4-star who was the director of the NSA. I'm sorry, how was she even allowed onto White House grounds, let alone into a private meeting in the Oval Office with the president? How is she qualified to opine on national security, let alone to decide its personnel? Now, when it came to these tariffs, where was the counsel to tell Trump to do the international legwork first if he was really dead set on this, or to secure corporate commitments and financial institution buy-in? Where was the counsel to tell him this was a stupid idea? The Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, who supposedly actually understands something about the markets, he looked embarrassingly out of the loop on Friday as he was unable to answer any basic questions about what the next steps of the administration would be, and apparently he is now rumored to be looking for a way to get to the door before an awful situation gets that much worse. Listen, if you had a pulse, you knew when this cabinet was assembled that, with limited exceptions, this was a group that was shockingly unqualified and universally more devoted to Trump than to country. That said, it's even worse than we could have imagined, and as Trump spirals into irrationality, bizarre by even his standards, we are left to wonder, is there anyone willing to say the quiet part out loud? This is really bad, my friends.